What is the saddest or scariest dream you've had that felt real? It was really weird. I was about 14 at the time. Dad was overseas serving at the time when I had this dream. In the dream I was walking down our street toward a train, and when I got to this train I saw Dad inside waving me in. I ran in to greet him, and the train pulled off as usual, but only along our street, just bizarre normal dream stuff. Anyway, suddenly I saw these weird kind of gold and silver flake looking things in the sky coming toward us, so I pointed up and told my dad to look. He realized it was metal as the front part of the train had just exploded, so he kind of pulled me out of the train to the ground, and just as I looked up there was a bit of shrapnel hurtling down at me, and Dad threw himself over me to protect me, and I woke up in a hot sweat as the shrapnel hit him right on his left cheek. When I woke I was hot and sweaty, and I swear my cheek felt hot right in the spot it hit. Dad in the dream shook me for days. Not mine, my mum's. A week or so after my dad killed himself, she had a dream she was at work, and on the staircase, the stairs started collapsing, and a hand reached out to grab her. She pulled herself up, all the way to the roof, where the mystery hand belonged to my dad. She was so shocked to see him, and he kept saying things like, "What's going on? And where are the kids? I can't find them." She explained he'd killed himself, he was dead, he would never speak to any of them ever again. She also had dreams she'd wake up in the middle of the night to him sitting on the edge of her bed, watching her sleep. Part of me thinks it might be his spirit trying to connect. Other rational part is like just the brain wanting to keep him alive any way it can. I had a dream that I was with a pretty girl named Chloe. I don't actually know anyone like this, and we were at a large stadium. I briefly left to do something, but when I was heading back, I heard a voice on the speakers. I couldn't hear what the voice said, but when the girl heard it, her eyes widened, and she looked terrified. She suddenly took out a knife and I started running towards her while calling her name. But she stabbed herself and collapsed before I could reach her. When I reached her, I knelt down and held her lifeless body while crying and begging for her to wake up. Then the dream ended. Had a dream that I was fighting an invasion of Australia. We had just blown up a jeep, and I was shot in the stomach. It felt so real and hurt. I died and woke up. The dream felt like it went for hours. Remembered another 2 dreams. I don't know if it was a dream of sleep paralysis, but I was completely paralyzed, and I just lifted out of my bed and started floating. I tried to scream but I couldn't. Not really that scary, but I also had one of those fall off a building dreams, but I actually hit the ground. My body felt weird afterwards for hours. I was around 6 or 7, and I had fallen asleep on the living room couch watching an X-Men movie. I had a dream that I was just laying there looking at the title screen when all of a sudden a tall man in a floor-length hoodie and a grey face appeared and immediately started speaking, but I couldn't make out what he was saying, and his voice got deeper as he went on. Eventually I woke up, but the only thing that was different from what I saw in my dream and reality was that the TV was off and the man was gone. I was in the exact same position. I've had many dreams where I felt pain, getting shot hurt, and I've also been strangled and felt the life draining from my eyes as I was losing oxygen. I remember getting stabbed from behind as well. I remember having a dream where I was practically paralyzed from the head down and was in a hospital bed. I could see everything around me and I wanted to talk, but couldn't. I guess that dream is what convinced me to follow my parents' wishes, to not let them go through that if the time ever comes. I have dreams differently than other people due to a coma when I was 16. In my head I spend days to weeks in my dreams. They have continuity. I sleep in my dreams. I eat. I feel every as vividly as when I'm awake. Most of my dreams end in me dying. I've been killed by everything. Animals, starvation, dehydration, drowning, etc. Saddest is reliving the night my late SO was killed in a car crash. I wake up broken. My ex was suicidal. Had a dream where her arm was above water surface slowly going down. I grabbed her arm, and in a few seconds her arm was underwater with mine. I lost grip and felt her arm sliding down mine slowly until she was gone. Woke up terrified and couldn't eat or relax all day. She asked what was wrong and touched my arm and I freaked out. Wasn't able to touch her skin for a couple days without freaking out. Don't know if it was a dream or sleep paralysis, but I was in a bed on school camp, and I can't remember what it looked like, but some creepy as demon creature was under the blankets, and I thought it was crawling up me, but it was a guy in the cabin trying to wake me, because he was snaking out, and I don't remember it all, but the next morning he told me I woke up yelling at him, and he bolted. Then I just went back to sleep. I once had this pretty realistic seeming dream where giant amobas started emerging from the ground and swallowing people while I was swimming. When I tried to go to my parents, they were passed the exact same way, after which a giant amoeba emerged from underneath me. This was shortly after I accidentally touched a normal amoeba while swimming in real life. I unfortunately don't remember the dream, but I do recall waking up sobbing. I honestly felt so shattered that morning, all because of something my mind made up. It's insane how real dreams can feel. Dreams are something that really interesting to me. The fact that your mind can change how you view the world or even other people. This is a dream I had just before the last Christmas holidays, when I wanted to visit my best friend. She is depressed, and I dreamt how me and her family visited her grave during those holidays, because she took her own life. It felt so real I cried when I woke up. My ex was a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. Shortly after we broke up because he'd relapsed, I started having nightmares that he was dead. They were so vivid and felt so real I woke up crying several times. I'm sorry you had to go through that. My cat got killed in the dream and I spent the entire time hunting down the person who did it and coming up with all these incredibly elaborate tortures for them. It isn't scary as such, but it's kind of scary how much my personality can change the second toffee is involved. Me losing everyone that I love at once. I had a dream like that, only it had a happy ending when I found a way to travel to a dimension where they were still alive. I'm seeing a lot of people that sort by new. My mom drove our car too fast and she died, but I survived, and shortly after I woke up out of breath and extremely relieved that it was a dream. That's both scary and very sad. After my first tornado and really being worried about weather stuff for a while, for an entire summer I kept having to relive that situation over and over, and it got worse. In my dream I was in this big house with my family when we hear a nuclear siren, and then after a few seconds we hear a massive boom. I woke up shaking. I usually see all horror games I have played in my dreams, always little mixed. I mean I see them the night after I've played them. I did had dream. Yes, it was sad. I'm sorry to say it also really did happen, so would it be a dream? Or what would you call it? I remember that I was left in a burning building for what felt like forever, then waking up having sleep paralysis. I had a dream once where I watched my dad's head get blasted to a mist with a shotgun. I woke up crying. I remember having horrible nightmares as a kid. I even remember some about this little fucker. Most recently, that my daughter died. I spent a lot of the dream sobbing. I wish I could say the backrooms, but sadly that would be lying. I dreamed that I dated a girl who was possessed by the devil.